What's up, guys? So, something a little different today. Turns out there's a whole lot of stuff that's been happening recently in the house, and I can't really record some of my episodes when maintenance guys are walking around trying to repair stuff. Sorry things have been a little bit off schedule lately. Today's episode will be airing tomorrow. In the meantime, here's a snippet of a live hangout that happened on Steve McRae's channel, and I think you guys might enjoy it. A link to the entire conversation will be in the description as well.
Just a quick question to you, Steve. Did you pick up the God Delusion by Dawkins, and did you read his sort of?
I'm not a fan of Dawkins.
What?
I can't stand Dawkins.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Then you read.
I can't stand the new atheist, except for Hitchens. I loved Hitchens, but the rest, not so much a fan.
Oh, Hitchens was the worst out of all of them.
Hitchens was the best.
Oh.
I like Hitchens.
Man, I hated the evidence that Hitchens brought to the table for people like Mother Teresa. That was so horrible. Oh, wait.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying Mother Teresa did something wrong, or are you saying that you presented a poor case against her?
Man, I'm just saying that if I have a choice between making somebody suffer for God or having somebody, actually get healed, I'm probably going to do everything in my power to heal.
All right.
This is not like a slight. I mean, this is not like made up stuff. I mean, there was some research involved in this. That she literally did think suffering made people become closer to God. Did she not?
Of course, but that's a Catholic tenet in general. That suffering of some kind
purifies
your soul. Let me explain to you what she was doing, because it wasn't. I saw the documentary, and it was just utter garbage. But because I was really annoyed at this, so I'll
Are you
just
sure
go
it
off
because
on
you have a horse in this race?
Yeah, but seriously, it's like this is the concept of just hospice care. It's people who have come to terms with the dying and who have kind of accepted their state and go to her so they can die in peace. They don't go to her so that they can try to get healed.
Is that why they withheld any kind of treatment or pain medication?
They actually denied treatment to people. That's not the same thing as hospice care.
That's not hospice care, dude.
You don't deny painkillers to somebody who's dying in hospice.
And pocket the money.
This is...
If you'd like to argue that, then by all means, but you're going to die on this hill.
No, this is hospice care in a third world country. It's not going to be the same over here as it is over there.
Oh, okay. I do not want to straw behind you, but are you telling me that hospice care in a third world country means that they don't get medical treatment?
It means that they might not be able to afford it because of how expensive it is.
There was money there.
It's not about the individual people being able to afford it. It's about the facility, which is funded by the Catholic Church, which is one of the best funded institutions in the world.
Yeah, they withheld treatment, just like it was. They put ideology ahead of, don't wear condoms. Go out and have as many kids as you want over in Africa,
or just not have sex. Not that hard.
That doesn't work. Study psychology.
This is African.
Study some actual human psychology. Look,
please study
the human fucking mind.
This Huxleyite nonsense of like the Brave New World, where we all need a partner.
That book.
It doesn't have to do with Huxley. It doesn't have.
I know it doesn't have to do with Huxley.
It doesn't have to do with any goddamn thought leaders. Look at a goddamn study in human psychology.
There's plenty of studies to prove the fact that
they prove you wrong.
Yeah, Suris is right. Prag, you are living in a world of delusion if you think that just advocating abstinence is going to you're going to go down to these people in Africa in these tribes and say, hey, don't have sex. It's not going to happen. It is not. No. Okay, so hang on. It is not going to fucking happen. So what is the way to prevent overcrowding, overpopulation, farming, and depletion of the resources there? Why not give them condoms and allow them not to procreate so that it helps solve their own problems and prevent HIV and disease and everything? Why is your ideology more important than their health, their well-being, their safety? Why?
What makes you think that you have any better of a chance of teaching them safe sex than I do about abstinence? Where's the evidence for that?
The actual evidence behind abstinence only that, by the way, just 2 weeks ago, I did a live stream on where we did everything in our power to get somebody to try to defend the abstinence only argument, and none was forthcoming constantly.
I did not.
We brought evidence and studies, and nobody else brought shit.
If I had known, I would have happily joined. I
would have loved for you to have joined, because we desperately wanted somebody to come on the opposing side.
Yes, absolutely. I saw that.
I've never actually heard a defense of abstinence. Every time it's brought up, it seems to be a really one-sided deal.
God's Eye win $5 again. Another 5 for you, Steve. Talks like these would make Hitchens proud. Hashtag church is to blame. Good night, all. Good night, God's Eye win.
Night.
Thank you. And by the way, I mean, I'm serious. You know what? Again, there's a much higher, demonstrably higher. They have done these. They have gone down. They have handed out condoms. It does work. Okay, especially over abstinence. But again, even if it didn't, it's worth a shot because the abstinence does not work. Okay. It just doesn't. There's been so many studies done on this, and I think you know this, Bragg. It does not work. Abstinence is bullshit.
Let's say for
no, hold on. There have been. I don't know. I know there have been many studies done against abstinence. I think there have been some problems with those studies, and I think there have been studies that are pro-abstinence.
But you can say that for everything. Please cite the ones that lead you to that conclusion. Look, I can
literally say that.
I can say that I think there were some problems done with the scientific research that led to the understanding of molecules demand human evolution. I can say that from hell to high water, and it's not going to change the fact that the studies have been done on that particular science and came to a single conclusion.
No. Look, I understand. I'm just at this point in time when I'm in the position I'm in right now in this debate. I just don't happen to have.
If he doesn't have him, he doesn't have him.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's discussion. But by the way, somebody asked me in the live chat a while back, and I know you got to go here soon. But they asked me a good question: does Steve believe in evil? Yes. And when I'm talking about the word evil,
evil. Yeah, boy.
You don't need to invoke some kind of supernaturalism to have evil. Evil means a very specific term.
You can have evil in subjectivism.
You can have natural evil,
but it's meaningless.
A hurricane? No, it's not.
It's not meaningless.
Suris' subjective evil is meaningless. That's
no,
what
it's
I was
not.
saying.
It's not meaningless because it's meaningless within its subjective context. It's meaningful within its subjective context.
Well, it's fine. Even if it's
you don't have this ultimate anything
constantly to the same attribute, then it means something.
I'm so sick of these people not understanding what subjectivism is.
No. I get it's meaningful in like the individual subjective context, but if it's just in that subjective context and you can't identify it as a universal of some point,
why does it have to be a universal?
Yeah, I don't give a shit if it's universal.
Why does it ever have to be a universal?
If I say harming kids is evil, last thing I give a shit about it if it's universal or not. All I know is that the action should be taken is to harm kids. That is what my goal is, not to harm kids.
Well,
that's all I care about.
Well, if it's not universal, then how can you say it's really wrong? Because if it's really wrong, it should be equally wrong in any situation.
Hold on. I can address that. You can say it's wrong within the subjective context in which it happened, which has already been addressed, by the way.
But why does that subjective context matter in the whole scheme of things? Why should I care about, this subjective context?
Because you're a moral person.
Yeah, don't you have apathy?
Because you are in that subjective context.
I just heard Rag said, because don't I have apathy?
Empathy.
Empathy? Okay, fine. Why does my empathy matter? Why should that be a consideration in what's evil?
You can push this goalpost back as far as you want.
Exactly.
It doesn't change.
Why should I do this? Why should I do that?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's my point.
No, the whole point. No, it is based on something. The whole point of normative ethics is for what you should do. Now, again, you could push these goalposts back to fucking Mars, but when the day is fucking done, when the rubber meets the road, the correct action to take is not to harm children. Period.
There is no correct action.
No.
No. You don't get to make that argument. No.
On what authority do you make that argument?
Ned, hang on. Are you telling me that I am unjustified to say that the end result should be you don't harm kids? Are you telling me that? Seriously?
No. I'm not saying that you're unjustified in saying it. I'm saying your justification for why it's right is bad.
Bullshit. That's moral subjectivism. That is a justificatory reason. That literally is a type of justificatory reason, dude.
I know it's a type. That doesn't make it right, though.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
My God.
No. This is the point. This is what we were getting into on Twitter.
You can appeal to any kind of ethical position you want.
Yeah, but you can appeal to stuff, but that doesn't make it right. Do you believe in objective right and wrong in certain things? Like, do you believe that an apple? Well, do you believe an apple is an apple? Do you believe a surfboard is a surfboard? Are those objectively right things?
No,
do these milk arrowroots objectively exist, or are they just subjective imaginations of my mind?
Exactly.
No, neither. They're mereological nihilism. But anyways, what I appeal to is what I appeal to. What's serious? These are all independent.
I appeal to the veil of ignorance, personally. Just saying.
Which that's
Rawls is gross. Ew.
That's more of a pragmatic approach, but yeah.
I'm a pragmatist. Of course I have a pragmatic approach.
Oh, you could be a pragmatist without buying into Rawls. Rawls is just
You can. Well, considering pragmatism was born from three people disagreeing on what pragmatism is, I'm fairly certain I can.
I will tell you this. A long time ago on my Facebook, I was a friend with John Rawls' daughter. Her name's Elizabeth Rawls. And I actually was trying to get Elizabeth Rawls on this channel to talk about John Rawls' book. And this was several years ago. But unfortunately, she didn't want to speak for her dad. But how cool would that be? Because if anybody don't know, The Veil of Ignorance is actually from a guy named John Rawls. He was a prolific writer in justifications and legal proceedings and morality when it comes to the law. And one of the things he talked about was called The Veil of Ignorance. But I really wish that I would have got her on here, because that would have been amazing, because we used to talk about all this kind of stuff, but she won't do it live. But how cool is that?
Oh, that's a bummer.
I know.
I mean, I think Rawls is trash, but it would have been interesting all the same.
His book is required reading in law school still.
I don't know about. I'm talking from a philosophical perspective. He might have been good for
why do you think The Veil of Ignorance is kind of I mean, it makes sense. I mean, seriously.
Well, because it depends on like what your conception of like just or fair is going into like how you want the pie divided up if you don't know where your lot in is society. Because to say that, to say that, everybody would want to say, well, if I don't know where I'm in, I don't want I'll just say I want an equal share of the pie.
Oh, no, I think you're having a mistake. No, they don't get to decide that. The people giving it out, they're the ones to decide that. And the whole point is they shouldn't base it upon what race somebody was or what gender there was. And it should be, all these should be done without those bias and considerations.
Okay, I get the non-biased thing, but I don't think you need. I don't think it's necessary to have the veil of ignorance to prove that A. And B, I think there was a little bit more. I think when Rawls originally wrote it, if I'm reading what he wrote correctly, and feel free to correct me, it seemed like there was a greater implication or a greater emphasis on sort of a distributive economic justice is what he was sort of vying towards as he was using that metaphor.
Yes. Yeah, and he also talks about restorative justice and reparative justice and a few other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like from a legal standpoint, I can understand why it's important to study him. And from a legal standpoint, he might have some cases. I happen to think that you could probably make the same cases he's making without using the veil of ignorance. I think the veil of ignorance relies on... My problem is I just think it relies on too many presuppositions about what people think is fair and just, and about how, it seems to smuggle in some answers. It seems to be begging the question in some ways, in my mind.
Again.
Oh my God! Begging the question.
I don't read much Rawls. I just, like I said, it just goes back a long time, so I'd have to brush up on it. But anyways, we are getting late. We're over 2 hours, and I know Prag's got to go. Let me just wrap this up with a couple. If anybody's got some questions from the live chat, what do you got for us?